You're listening to Change Your POV podcast, episode 60. I looked this up. I researched this to try to get a sense for how long, what the standard, is for reviewing resumes. And I found reports on some sites that claimed 4 seconds or less. Some says 6 seconds, some are 10. But I couldn't find any source out there that quoted more than a minute per resume.
It's crazy, right? So it just shows how important it is.
Welcome to Change Your POV podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life, like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
I think it's only fair to warn you, this facility is surrounded by a highly trained team of 130 Black Ops snipers.
I don't believe you.
Would you believe 24 Delta Force commandos?
No.
How about Chuck Norris with a BB gun?
All right, folks. Spoiler alert here. I just got off the recording with Bennett for this episode tonight. And I just got to tell you, we are both just jacked up like a soup sandwich, or as Bennett would call us, a soup grenade. So in the episode, Bennett and I were talking about, and you'll hear this, we were talking about the Spartan Sprint Race in Fenway this year in November. It's actually on November 12th through the 13th, and he said that it's, a day before Memorial Day. Well, no, it's not Memorial Day, it's Veterans Day, so I got to kind of put that out there and correct that. Also, we had several breaks in our conversation, and we had to keep calling back, and oh my God, it was this episode. It didn't go as planned, and there's a lot of really good information in here where I cover the 7-day resume, day 2, lesson 2, and we're talking about the structure of the resume, and there's why only one page, etc. So all that is really good information, and we just man, it just didn't go as planned. We made the best of it. I just wanted to say, listen, if you're looking for a really professional, highly produced, error-free podcast to listen to right now, skip this episode and go on to one of the other ones. Either wait for next week's episode, or you can go back and listen to some other really excellently edited and highly polished episodes. Tonight, it's just a little bit of a kind of a collage, a little bit of everything. So if you're okay with kind of haphazardness and a little bit of off the cuff and just Bennett and I in raw form, then stick around. You might enjoy this one. All right, let's get going. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Change Your POV podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Lazary.
And I'm Bennett Tanton.
And we are here talking about 7-day resume. This is the second of a 7-part series. This is episode 60. If you haven't tuned into the first of the series, head on over to last week's episode 58, where we talk about understanding the resume. Tonight, we're going to talk about the format of the resume. And then next week in episode 62, we're going to talk about elements of the resume. But before we get too deep into that, I would like to say that this podcast is brought to you by Warrior Hall. Warrior Hall guides combat veterans and their families in their journey from warfighter to citizen. Warrior Hall uses peer support as a mentoring mechanism, bringing combat veterans together to help one another achieve wellness and walk their individual paths from military service to civilian life. And if you remember, last week, Bennett talked exclusively on that topic of peer support in episode 59. So head on over and check that out. So who does Warrior Hall serve? Warrior Hall honors and recognizes the valuable service of every veteran. Warrior Hall honors and recognizes the valuable service of every veteran. Warrior Hall's programs are aimed specifically at those who served in combat theaters, not because one is better than the other, but because one recognizes the unique challenges combat veterans face when returning to civilian life. To find out more on how you can participate, become a peer support specialist within the Warrior Hall programs, and much, much more, head on over to warriorhall.org, or you can hit up Bennett at warriorhall.org. Yeah?
Yeah.
So Bennett is actually one of the founders of Warrior Hall, along with Mr. Tim Parkhurst, who you've heard on several different episodes in the past. And just real quick, Bennett, talk to us about any type of things you got going on with Warrior Hall.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to get up off the ground here are what we call our Warrior Hall link-ups, or Warrior link-ups, whatever you really want to call it. Basically, what it is, it's kind of like we're setting up a point to get guys and gals out and just to meet each other. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be setting up some stuff, either using like Eventbrite or meetup.com, and basically set up some events to just bring guys out and kind of like have a happy hour or smoke some cigars or get around a campfire and smoke and joke, man. You know, just have some events to get people connected. Tim is going to do something down in North Carolina and get something fired up there. I am trying to get one up in Syracuse. That'll happen whenever I get up there. I've already got something kind of going on down here in Delaware in conjunction with Warrior Hall. So we're just trying to get out there. The other place that we're going to get on is veteranslist.us. And they have an events page, and we'll also put out any new stuff that we've got going on there on the website and whatnot. So just keep your eyes open, give it a month or two, and we'll have this link up stuff up and running.
Yeah, man. And I'm definitely interested in firing something up in the New Hampshire and New England area. So
right. And that's basically what we're looking for, guys to step up and just help out their community.
Yep. So Bennett's going to teach me what I need to know about setting this up. But if you are in the New Hampshire area or New England area and you're interested in participating in something like this, please reach out. Let me know. If we can get some good interest, at least some potential interest, that will really kind of determine where the venue happens and kind of what we do and things like that.
The other thing we actually got going on, and I keep failing to bring it up, is a friend of ours, Andrew McDowell, set up this Team Warrior Hall to do the Spartan race up at Fenway in November.
Oh, right. Yep.
And he's got a GoFundMe page. I think it's a GoFundMe page. Just check our Facebook page, and it'll have links to the GoFundMe page. And if you want to come participate as a part of, Team Warrior Hall.
Yeah, is that
get on there? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Team Warrior Hall. I'm pretty sure it's the team that it's the Spartan race. But you know what? We'll clarify later in the week. How about that?
Yeah, so later in the week, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Matter of fact, for the Friday episode, we will have all the details.
Yeah, I'll have it all set up so we can just put it out there.
Because Bennett and I will both be at that event.
So will Tim, more than likely.
Tim, he's going too?
Yeah, I think he's going to come all the way up from North Carolina to do it. So
that's awesome. That'll be the first time we all get to meet in person.
Yeah, man.
So it'll be exciting. So if you're interested in coming out to Fenway and knocking out the old Spartan race, my daughter and I did it last year. It was awesome.
A day before Memorial Day, right?
It was, yeah.
I know. This is as well this year. Day before Memorial Day.
I don't know if they plan that or if they've got to work around Fenway's schedule. I don't know how that works.
Either way.
Yeah. So we did our first sprint was up in Killington, Vermont, which for those of you who don't know, it's like a huge ski resort up in Vermont.
Those ones on the ski resorts are kicking the nuts,
my
dude.
God, man.
Running straight uphill.
Brutal. It was a sprint, so it's like the shortest of the three. And me and my daughter, it took us like 4 hours and 20 minutes to complete it.
Oh, God, seriously? Why? Oh, my God. The one in Fenway's considered a sprint too, right?
It is, but it's shorter, and it only took my daughter and I think 2.5 hours to complete
Holy
that one.
Christ. So I didn't do a Spartan race. I did a Warrior Dash a
Mm.
bunch of years ago, and that was at a ski resort. It was a 5K.
How
Uh,
long did it take?
I think it took me, I don't know, like an hour and a half maybe.
Wow.
Um, and but yeah, I guess the guy who ran it the fastest did it in like 28 minutes.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I mean,
No way.
screaming, dude.
That's
I don't even know
crazy.
how it's possible because I was literally having to grab the grass to keep from falling down the fucking
Yeah.
hill. That's
Yeah.
how steep
It's
it was on the
crazy.
way up. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a good time, man, for sure. So we've already got a team of I don't even know how many are have signed up at this
Probably a
point.
dozen or more.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a good time. So if you want to be a part of that, tune in next week. We'll have all the details, and we'll give you a place where you can go and sign up and be a part of the team. And if nothing
Just
else, if we get
donate.
enough guys, well, I mean, if we get enough guys, they could probably like carry us through the entire event.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I want to be put
I
on a sled and carried through because, for God's sakes, I'm getting old.
put you on a litter.
Exactly. Like a Roman conqueror. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I'm just fucking around.
you get
Anyway,
like you'd have your like grapes and
right,
shit up
right. I
there.
want to wear a toga and have one of those little palm leaf freaking
Oh yeah, yeah,
mountains.
the little head
Right.
things. Yeah,
That's it. That is all.
that's
We
awesome.
are
And then,
talking about the Spartans,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
the
no,
Greeks.
no
You know,
pun
some
intended,
Greeks.
right?
I said Roman, but I really meant Greeks. So whatever.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's awesome. Oh, man, it's too much, man. All right, so here we go. Day 2, lesson 2. We're going to talk about the format of the resume. All right, we're going to go over the structure of the resume, why the resume should only be one page, the page header, the footer, the page margins, and reverse chronological order. And of course, folks, there's a lot of visual aspects to this training that I obviously can't cover in a podcast. I'm a fairly good storyteller, and I'm sure you have a great imagination, but there is a limitation to what I can share that's visual. So if you want the entire lesson, all the visuals, and all the downloadables, you'll need to sign up for the course. It's free. You just head on over to 7dayresume.com. You can opt in, immediately get sent your first lesson, followed by a lesson every day after that. So let's get right into this. So, structure of the resume. So, remember, we learned last week that the resume is considered a black box. No one really knows what the correct resume format is because, well, there is no true correct structure or format. There's only preferred methods. Remember, we talked about ISO and ISO type standards. There is no ISO standards for the resume. So it is very open to interpretation, and some people take complete liberties with that interpretation and just come up with some absolutely horrendous things with their resume. It's important to remember that these preferences have everything to do with the reader of the resume, the reader being the recruiter and or hiring manager, and it has nothing to do with your own preferences. Okay, it's not about you, it's about the reader of the resume. Are you more interested in having a resume that looks pretty to you or that's effective for the hiring manager or recruiter? Well, if you're doing the math on that one, there's really no contest, right? So I'll be breaking down the structure of the resume into sections here in a minute. But first, we need to talk about why only one page. Now, there is a lot of visuals that I will be covering here in the resume. So if you would like to follow along or at least capture those visuals within the training and get all the downloadables, you'll need to sign up by heading over to 7dayresume.com, and you can opt in and you will immediately be sent your first training lesson followed by a subsequent lesson after that every day for 7 days. So why only one page for a resume? If you remember last week, we talked about the word resume is derived from the French language meaning summary. Well, if you feel the need to capture your entire life on your resume, then it not only won't be one page, but it won't be a summary either. Aside from the fact that it should be a summary, let's look at something that you may not be aware of. When managers experience a sustained workload increase or has someone in a department get promoted and leave to another department or leaves the company for another opportunity, the manager finds him or herself with what's called a headcount deficiency. Now, the only way to overcome this deficiency is for the hiring manager to hire another person, another head. Now, excuse me. Now, I mentioned that sustained workload increase because if it's only temporary, then the hiring manager can compensate that by authorizing overtime or pushing extended work days or even mandatory weekends. And I'm sure those of you that are manufacturing have experienced some of that. This can only be a temporary solution to a temporary problem because it's cost prohibitive to operate in this condition for an extended period of time. Okay, so now that we've established that this hiring manager or this manager has a justifiable reason to request a headcount increase, he or she will submit a rec or requisition to his or her boss. Now, this rec may need to go up one or two more levels before it's approved, if approved at all. Now, once the rec is approved, however, there is generally an expiration date on the rec. So it's only good for a certain amount of time for the most part. So this means that the hiring manager or recruiter has a limited time to fill that position before that rec goes away or becomes expired. Now, this expiration date adds a level of pressure to fill the rec quickly with the best hire possible. So not only are they looking for the best person, but they've got a time limit in which to do this. So now the job posting goes out usually to both external and internal. In most cases, it'll go out intercompany and it'll also go external. And then it goes out to all the job boards like Indeed and Monster and Career.com and all those. Now, the best case is that the recruiter and hiring manager starts to get overloaded with resumes of potential candidates right off the bat. Now, whether or not this actually happens depends on many variables, including the job market, the industry, the area that the job is in, and the pool of candidates at the time the new opportunity becomes available. All right, now let's see. I'm going to do some math here, so don't hurt yourself, Bennett. So best case is that the hiring manager has, say, 300 resumes to go through, and they are up against a deadline before the rec expires. So sometimes the manager can get an extension on the rec, but most times it won't get approved for an extension. So they're really up against a hard deadline. So if you were the hiring manager and you had a deadline by which your rec becomes obsolete or expires, and you have, say, 300 resumes, how much time would you spend on a resume, Bennett, to review it?
Well, as much as it could to skim through it. So what are you talking? Maybe a minute or two a resume? Seriously? If they're like one page?
Yeah, so I
mean,
actually looked.
It's really like a quick scan. I mean, because and half the time nowadays they have an algorithm that even buffets it down even farther, especially if you apply it online.
Right.
So,
and I actually looked
keywords
this up.
And shit. So
right. I looked this up. I researched this to try to get a sense for how long what the standard is for reviewing resumes. And I found reports on some sites that claimed 4 seconds or less. Some says 6 seconds, some are 10. But I couldn't find any source out there that quoted more than a minute per resume.
It's crazy, right? So it just shows how important it is to have something that catches attention, like right off the bat.
Exactly. So I'm going to use the worst case of 1 minute. So if you've got 300 resumes to sift through, like I think you used the proper word, scan, you're not really reading anything. You're kind of just scanning or skimming through it. So if you got 300 resumes and you actually legit do the full minute, which, full 60 seconds, then that's 5 hours of doing nothing but reading resumes. Now, I don't know about you, but there's no way I'm going to sit there for 5 solid hours.
Shoot yourself in the face.
Just I'm going to read for about 30 minutes. I'm going to get up, grab something to drink, maybe read for another 15, 20 minutes, go to the bathroom, come back. So really that 5 solid hours really turns into what? probably a full or maybe even 2 days worth of nothing but reading.
Yeah.
This is just reading. You're not making any decisions really yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you got more than
And then on
300,
top of that, you're trying to narrow it down too, because you're like, what
right,
the frig? You're not
right,
interviewing 300 people.
exactly. So now if you've got more than 300, or if you actually use up more than 1 minute apiece, then that time will quickly add up, and it really starts to add up really, really quickly. Now, the true hard fact is that recruiters and hiring managers, now listen to this, folks, this might shock some of you. Recruiters and hiring managers are looking for reasons to say no. Okay? What I mean by that is every resume going into it is an automatic, like it's being looked at, right? And I can't even say every resume because I've had stacks and stacks where I never even got through all of them, but still. Okay, let's assume that I get 300, I'm gonna go through all 300 of them. I'm not looking for reasons to justify a yes. I'm looking for reasons to say no. Okay. So if I'm sifting through 300 resumes, I'm looking for reasons to say no, and I'm making 3 piles, and here they are. The first pile I'm making is called the hell no pile. The hell no pile goes in the trash. And guess what, folks? Once these go into the hell no pile, they don't come back out. Okay? I don't care if I sift through all 300 and all 300 end up in the whole hell no pile, then I don't pull them out. They don't come back out of the hell no pile. Once they're there, they're there. The next one is the no pile. This means that this means no for this position, but I may hold on to the resume for a different position down the road, or I might float it over to another manager or a friend of mine that also has a rec to fill that might be slightly different than mine. Notice, folks, managers utilize their networks also, okay? And the third one is called the maybe pile. So this is the pile that I am going to spend my 1 minute review on.
It's so crazy, right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
So now notice I've already, for the most part, I will sift things through 3 piles before I even commit to a minute on the review. So you're like, wait a minute, like how, if you're not reviewing it, how are you able to establish those 3 piles, right? Right?
I know. Like a minute, like you don't know any. You know what though? You can get a lot done in a minute. Like
You
if
can.
you're looking at it, especially a 1-page resume, because
Yeah.
you're looking for certain things. I mean, so
There we
you got
go.
it down. You're
You're
looking
right.
for those
So
keywords,
exactly.
and
So
if you hit them, then well, there you go. So you can probably knock that 300 down
right,
to
but before I even read words on a resume, now check this out, okay? If I haven't spent my 1 minute time on the first round of no, hell no, and maybe, then what did I look at to make my initial determination? Okay, glad you asked.
I was.
I looked quickly at the structure of the resume. Now, don't misunderstand me here. I'm not looking for how nice your resume is or how aesthetically pleasing, or what's another term I've heard? Oh yeah. Marketable, right? All that nonsense. Don't just throw all that away, okay?
Right.
I'm looking at the structure and asking myself a simple question. Here it is. How easy or hard is it going to be for me to find the basic information I'm looking for? Okay. If I have to hunt down for your email address or your phone number, or I need a secret decoder ring to decipher your employment date history, you are going in the hell no pile right off the bat. And before I continue, back to the 1-page resume real quick, folks, it may not be right. It may not be fair. You may not agree with it, and you may even heard differently, but I'm keeping it absolutely real for you right now. 2 or more pages on a resume means that 1, that I have to look at more. 2, it will cause me to spend more time than 1-minute review will allow. 3, there is a chance that I may be missing a page, right? If there's a staple in it, how do I know there's not 2 or 3 or 4 pages? 4, it's harder to navigate and find things. And 5, it shows that you are just not succinct in your written communication. And so here's a story. You ready, Bennett?
Yeah.
So here's a story that I use to help explain this to people. Because I say 1-page resume, people want to argue with me. Okay, here it goes. have you ever gone to the grocery store, right? You're in a hurry, you're on your way home from work, and you've been planning this family get together, friends and stuff coming over on the weekend. And so you and your wife went and grabbed a bunch of stuff on the weekend, or the weekend prior, and but you're on your way home. It's a Friday night, and your wife texts you and says, "Oh crap, we forgot a 6-pack of Budweiser, or no, you're probably gonna get more than 6-pack, like 3 cases of Budweiser, and like a bottle of wine,
Right.
and a bag of chips." Okay, not a lot, just a few things you absolutely need in order to kick this thing off. And so you're like, "No problem, honey. I'm in a hurry, but I got this." You stop in at the grocery store, whatever grocery store is in your area, and and you run in there real quick, and you grab one of those carts or buggies, whatever you call them, and you run, you're probably not running, but you're walking swiftly through the store, and you're trying to beat the rush hour traffic. You want to get home and get ready for this party. So you grab what you need, you throw it in the basket. You've got like 6 items, not a big deal, right? So where are you going to go when you got 6 items? Where are you going to go?
Express checkout.
Yeah, you're going to go to the 12
or even
items.
you might go to the freaking Anyway, the express checkout.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. So you're going to go to the 12 items or less lane, right? And you get up there to the 12 items or less lane, and of course, there's only one of them open, right? As it were, as it always is, and then so there you are. You find it, it's open, and there's this jackass that's in line in front of you with a cart full of stuff, right? That he's trying to ring up. Now, how does this make you feel?
It's going to piss you off.
Yeah. So do you feel like that guy is not being respectful of your time? Right? You're upset that he isn't playing by the social rules. I mean, let's face it, he's not breaking any laws, right? It's a free country after all. But there's these social rules that people are expected to kind of live by. But yeah, what do you think of that guy? Well, guess what?
Major dick.
Yeah, guess what? More than 1-page resume, guess what? You are that guy. Okay? Now think about it. You feel like that guy is being disrespectful of your time. You feel that he's not playing by the social rules, right? And you're just pissed off. And guess what? The cashier or the person behind the register probably is thinking the same thing. Now, if they're smart, they'll try their best to try to enforce the 12 items. But I mean, how many times?
Yeah, but what are they, like, 14-year-old girl there?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
She's not telling the guy whatever.
No. She's ringing.
And then the guy's like, "What do you mean? I got all 13 items."
Yeah, exactly. All right. So folks, when you have more than one resume, you're that jackass that's trying to squeeze 30 items through a 12 item or less.
More than one page.
Yeah, what'd I say?
More than one resume.
Oh, I meant, I'm sorry. More than one.
Trying to get it so it's all straight.
Yeah, thank you. So more than one page, folks, and you're just not playing by the rules. And guess what? The recruiter and hiring manager recognize that, and they see multiple page resumes as disrespectful of their time. And now, if you are trying to impress me, you've just not done that, okay? You have just shown me that you're not respectful of my time. This is what as a recruiter or as a hiring manager, this is what I'm thinking about you, Bennett. You submit a 2-page resume. This is what I'm thinking. 1, you think you're better than everyone else.
Pretentious prick.
Yeah, you are not respecting me and my time. I have got a limited amount of time to fill this rec that's going to expire, and I've got all these resumes to get through. I haven't even read your name, and I'm pissed. I hate you. Right? So, I mean, guess what? I don't care how good you might be for this role or this position. You might have been the best candidate for the job. You might have been. You could have been. You probably were. But guess what? I don't give a shit.
I'm going to get a shot.
I'm not going to give you a shot. You're going in the hell no pile. And guess what, folks? Do you think people get feedback on their resume when they don't get selected? No, that's why people have shitty resumes, because nobody gets any feedback on how shitty their resume was. That's just the reality of it. So I'm telling you right now, from someone that's reviewed thousands of resumes, I'm telling you right now, more than 1-page resume, unless that hiring manager or recruiter hasn't done a whole lot of hiring or recruiting, they might entertain a more than one page but for the experienced folks out there, guess what, guys? It's not passing muster. It just isn't. You are going straight to the circular bin.
It's weak sauce.
It is. What happened to all my stuff?
Uh-oh.
Well, I gotta open up the next page. Sorry. I got
an epic failure, this one.
I'm gonna do a lot of editing tonight, man. All right. All right.
Or you could just leave it in because that shit's funny. It really is. At least then you put it like at the end. That shit's funny. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, that shit is funny, and you know it.
You like the blooper reel at the end?
That's always funny, dude.
Yeah.
Or like when you just leave some bullshit and you're just like, I can't believe you just did that. But it adds personality. It's fantastic.
It does. All right. All right. Hold on. I'm trying to find it here. Too far. Let me go back up.
Fuck.
Sorry, man.
No, I'm cool with it. This shit just makes me laugh.
Okay, here we go. Hey. Page header. Okay, all right, so guess what? In the page header, I've got an image of a resume. I got lots of images here. Okay. I go through and I describe for you how to create the header in the oh my God, I can't talk. I can't.
Just sign up and check it out. Because Eddie's shit's weak tonight.
So listen, I'm going to wrap it up at the one-page resume. And if you want to know more about the page header and the margins, both the top and the left and the right and the footer margins, and if you want to...
It's just too goddamn confusing to sit and try and explain it over the radio.
Yeah, it is. Man, this is a shitty episode, man.
No, it's not. It's fantastic, especially now. Because everybody's going to be laughing their asses off at this one.
Dude, I so didn't scroll down far enough when I was prepping for this. I thought I was going to be able to cover this in a podcast. But listen, it's all in here.
Eddie right now would end up in the hell no pile. Just saying.
Yeah, more than once over. Okay. All right, so folks, in a nutshell, here's the way a cookie crumbles, all right? You just need to go sign up for this shit so you can see what I'm talking about.
I love it.
All right. So next week, man.
It's a good one. Next week's a good one.
Yes. So next week there'll be a lot more. There'll be less pictures and more things to talk about.
Bless.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I can mime these pictures to you, and I just can't.
Can't do it.
I can't do it.
Failure.
So next week in lesson 3, we're going to talk about contact. You know what? No, screw it. I'll just cover it next week. So next week, we're going to talk about contact information, your name, your address, your phone number, your email address. We're going to talk about the date format, job title.
Basically, it's the format of your resume.
Yeah, exactly. The company, job description, and bullet statements. Yes. So there we go, man. So the biggest takeaway from this episode, besides the fact that I'm just chewed up like a soup sandwich tonight,
is like a soup grenade.
A soup grenade?
Yeah. Pull the pin and just let it fly and run. Fucking run.
Oh, so can I tell you a story about pulling the pin real quick?
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, might as well.
Because the rest of this didn't go very well. The main points were there. So folks, you definitely got some value out of it. You're probably wetting yourself listening to me fumble over my spit. Anyway, so we were getting ready to deploy to Iraq, right? And of course, we had about a year to prepare before we actually left. And so that meant a lot of going to the range and, going to the field for training ops and things like that. Well, we ended up we didn't do this a whole lot. And I think a lot of it had to do with just cost, but everyone ended up going through the hand grenade range. Have you been through a live hand grenade range?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I have a crazy ass story for that, but we might have to wait for another episode. But anyway.
No, maybe not. Because by the time I cut out all the bullshit from getting disconnected, there'll be plenty of time. So we are we are at the hand grenade range. And for those of you that have never been to one, there's like these pits that you kind of climb into this pit, and you're standing like on a square platform. It's concrete, but the platform is kind of slanted on all sides, and it's slanted and it goes down. And then there's like a ditch, like a concrete
Mhm.
gutter kind of thing all the way around it. And the whole idea is if you accidentally drop the hand grenade, it will roll down the platform that you're standing
Into
on
the sumps
into the sumps, and then it will detonate, and the shrapnel will go up instead of you know what I mean.
and
So
not into
so
us.
right, right. So we were at the hand grenade range, and I think
Now,
I
was
think
this in
this
train up or like boot camp or something? This is train
no
up.
no no
Train
this
up to
is
go into Iraq.
yeah, train up to go to Iraq. So we were at Fort Hood, Texas. That's where we were. And I can't remember. I think it was like they had three pits going. They might have had more than three pits, but we were only running three pits because, the
Yeah,
more pits you
the
have, the
more
less
people.
control you
Yeah,
have. And
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So we
A
had
shit
three
show.
pits going, and I'm in one pit, and my platoon sergeant, not now again, this isn't the platoon sergeant that I had when we actually deployed, because I interviewed him. I interviewed my actual platoon sergeant on an episode a while back. Not this guy, the different guy, the original platoon
Mhm.
sergeant that I had before we got this new guy. And I'm not going to say his name. No. So we're standing, I'm in one pit, he's in the other. Now, this dude, he had just no business being a sergeant first class in the United States Army. Just had no business whatsoever being a senior NCO. I don't know how he got there. I think it was just, he had enough time in service, time in grade, and just managed to get by on his NCOERs. Had to have been. But here he was, sure shit, sergeant first class. And he's in one pit, I'm in the other, and I don't know who was in the third pit. And we were taking our instructions from the NCO that's running the
Yeah.
range, and there's a whole step by step process procedure you go through. Well, the Joker pulls the pin. Get this, he pulls the pin, he drops the grenade, and he throws the pin.
Oh my god! Are you kidding
Instead of
me?
no, instead of pulling the pin, dropping the pin, and throwing their grenade, yeah, man, he pulls the
Oh my
pin,
god!
drops the grenade, and throws the pin. Dude, all you hear is just this god awful
Grenade!
yeah, man, like whoever was his like secure, like
Oh
his
yeah.
the guy that was running his pit, like he like he like
Oh
dives in
my
there,
god!
grabs his OTV and like jerks him aside and like tackles him, gets on top of him. We're all like ducking, and next thing you know, boom! Oh, man, that thing
Holy
went
hell,
off.
man!
Oh my god! So, needless to say, everything ceasefire. Everybody had to put everything down, and there was this. We had to like write statements.
Oh,
It was just brutal.
God. Yeah, my
Yeah.
my story's similar, except for so at Marine Corps boot camp, they just have these pits that you're in. They're not a pit. It's kind of like a stone wall, and you're like inside of it, right? So what happens is that if you dropped a grenade, then they just toss you over the wall, and everyone goes over the side,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Well, this dick dropped a grenade. He did the same thing. But
Yeah.
he went to like throw it and it like slipped out, that whole
Oh
thing. Oh
shit.
my fucking God. And then we had another fucking joker that watched way too many episodes of What the Fuck Ever and decided he wanted to cook the grenade off.
No.
Yeah, he did like a 1/1000 and then threw the
Really?
fucking thing. We were
Oh,
fucking, are you fucking kidding? I mean, asinine Hollywood bullshit.
oh my God. I bet, did he get hung up? I bet, huh?
Yeah, he did. He got in trouble. I mean, and I remember also doing a live fire bunker.
Yeah.
Oh man. I remember a guy throwing a grenade into one of the bunker or all right, so it was a live fire trench, sorry.
Yeah.
And so he tossed the freaking thing into one of the bunkers and it bounced off the back wall a little too hard.
Oh
and
shit.
and it just rocked us all, dude. I
Uh,
was my oh shit, because like half the blast ended up coming out the door,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you could just feel it. Usually you get that dull,
Right.
but
Right, yeah.
no. This fucker must have gone off like right inside the door. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Oh shit. No, nobody
No,
took any
no, no, no,
shrapnel.
nobody got hurt.
Mm. So another grenade
That's a
story.
lot of fun though, man. Did you ever get to
Oh, it
assault the
is.
trench?
You mean like in training
Oh,
or
like
in
yeah. I mean, yeah,
no.
it was training. It wasn't real, but it
No,
was like we
well,
used to have to do it for our battalion like once a year or some shit.
no,
Used
no,
to
no.
have
The
the
fun
trench
is
assault. It was fucking nuts.
no, we never did. The coolest thing we did, that we just loved doing it, is they have. You've never been to Fort Hood, have you?
Never.
All right, so Fort Hood is a very large
Yeah,
military
it's huge.
installation, and way back in one of the training areas, they have an actual mock city. It's like concrete
Yep,
buildings.
yep.
It's made specific. It's a mount. It's a
Yep.
mount
China
site.
Mount City.
Yeah, Mount MOUT,
Yep.
Military Operations and Urban Terrain for those of you who are playing at home. And we're talking like multi-storied, multiple buildings. They even had like a couple of tunnels to simulate like a sewage system. Because when you're fighting in urban terrain, man, it's a 360 battle. And we used to get we signed out so we took our M4s, but you swap out the upper receiver.
Yeah.
You take off the
Sim,
lower
sim
receiver.
rounds.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they're like paint
Yeah,
rounds.
paintball.
Like,
That shit hurts.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
A
That
lot of
shit
fun though.
hurts.
A lot of fun.
Oh man, it was a lot of fun. So there. So yeah, we to train up for that, we went out there and did some mount operations, and we split into teams, and we did some mount night ops, with NVGs on and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like right about the time where I got my new guys, Milbrot and Herbst, whom I've interviewed them both on this podcast. But Milbrot, he was my gunner in Iraq, but he was a new guy right out of basic AIT. Both of them were, and they were still brand new weapon. I mean, we're talking like E1s, E2s, right?
Right.
And we go out to the mount site, and we're stacked, right? And he's got his NVGs on. Of course, he's a private. I don't think he's ever worn NVGs before. And so the idea is to when you first go into the initial entrance, it's like a hallway, right? And you walk like 6 paces, and there's a doorway to your left that you can just go into the next room. Well, he was up front, and I'm like, all right, man, we're gonna breach to this front door, and you're gonna skirt down the hall, and you're gonna enter the first room to your left. And he's like, okay. And I say, I'm gonna be right behind you. And when you enter the room, you're gonna peel off to the left, and I'm gonna go to the right. It was just kind of this. We're just practicing sectors of fire in rooms.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so we breach through the first door or the first entrance. And remember, it's like 6 paces before you turn left to that door. Well, he takes like maybe 2 paces and turns left and runs smack dab into the fucking wall.
Oh my god.
And he's still running like in full force, like he's still running, gonna run through the wall.
Dude.
And I'm watching him do this with my NVGs on. I can see it all clear as day. And he's just literally just running up against this wall.
Oh man.
And I lose it, dude. I'm laughing so goddamn hard. I can't contain it. And I mean, mission aside, I'm like completely forgot about I'm just on the floor rolling, laughing my ass off at this guy, like totally running into the wall. It was funny, man. It was funny.
Oh,
But
Christ.
yeah, one of the guys that Drake, Drake was killed in Iraq. But during that train up, we were doing that paintball. He was on one team, I was on the other, and he ended up kind of poking his head over a staircase, and everybody kept telling him like, Drake, don't do that, man. Drake, don't do that. And this guy loved him to death, but he just couldn't pay attention, man, or wasn't hearing. He wasn't having it. And so one time he poked his head over, and I don't know who shot, but somebody shot him, and he took one of those rounds right underneath the chin, like right, kind of like underneath that tender spot of your chin.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh man, just broke him open, like bleeding everywhere. Oh,
we were doing a mount attack at night, and we were the lead element, and we had breached the wire. and we made entry into one of the buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleared the bottom floor, and then my team pushed out, and we had this bottom floor set of windows that we were covering this courtyard, right? And we were just checking out the elevated positions on the other buildings. Well, we kept seeing this like light, like a light, right? And I'm like, you better freaking aim in on that shit. So I freaking did, and this is when we still had like, it wasn't a scope, but it was like I don't even remember what the hell, but it was red dot, right? On there.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see this flash. It was just like a little red light. I'm like, some dude up there's got, I don't know if he's sighting this in or what the fuck he's doing, right? So I get it. I line up the light and I freaking crack off like 2-3 rounds, right? Finally, I'm just like, crack, crack, crack. And I hear, shit, motherfuck. What the fuck? Swearing, right? And I'm like, oh, you killed that motherfucker. Right?
Yeah.
So we continue on with the mission, and our battalion, it was a battalion exercise, a company exercise ends up taking, we follow on, continue mission, we freaking kick some ass, we go to the AR. Again, Battalion XL walks in with this huge welt on the side of his fucking
Are you serious?
the side of his neck, and goes, who's the motherfucker that was down and you hear all my guys go, oh shit, and I start laughing, and he was a really cool dude. He had been, like prior enlisted, freaking, he was a cool dude. And he goes, you shot me in the fucking neck. I go, well, sir, you shouldn't have been walking around up there.
Was he part of the mission, or was he like observing?
No, he's an observer.
Oh shit!
Shouldn't have been walking around up there.
Oh man, he's lucky he didn't get that in the eyeball.
Right in his neck. I mean, dude, it looked like an egg on the side of his freaking.
Oh shit!
Big red
oh my god!
It was freaking awesome.
How far was that shot?
It's probably like 25 meters.
Yeah. But at night with one of those, man,
that's a good shot. But it's because I was just shooting at light. I didn't have any other distraction.
Right.
Better at night, you do.
Well, was he shining down on you?
No, he wasn't shining anything. It was just like a light, like a little red light. I don't know if it meant "Don't shoot me" designator, but I shot that shit.
You're like, oh, that's what the red light was for. Oh,
shot the shit out of it.
That's funny, man. Oh shit. Yep, those field problem exercises, man. Damn, I remember. Whew, all kinds of crazy shit happened when we were out there.
Oh man.
Oh man, I can go on for days about that, but we probably shouldn't.
Probably.
We'll have to save it for another time. Where are we at for time here? Let's look.
37.
Is it? All right, plus the 16. So yeah, we got to wrap it up. All right, man. So at the end of the day, as some would say, 7-day resume. It's good stuff. If you can't figure out how to write a resume, then you probably learned a thing or two about how to throw a hand grenade. At least I would hope. So yeah, man. Thanks for the time, Bennett. And I'm sorry we got a little bit off track, but yeah, the more we got into this particular training, the more I realized it was a lot of pictures and diagrams and how-tos that there's no way I could explain.
That's funny. That's all right.
Probably funny. I laughed my ass off.
That's right.
And that's all that matters. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Change Your POV podcast. Again, you can find all the show notes for this episode over at changeyourpov.com/episode 60. Although I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of show notes because I'm going to leave out all that tomfoolery about the hand grenades and shooting your XO in the neck.
That's right.
Won't be in there. But, head on over there anyway. Check it out. And tune in next week, and we're going to talk about something that I can actually get into a little bit more detail about, elements of a resume. Don't forget about this episode, though. The main takeaway is, listen, folks, there may not be a standardized way to write your resume, but there's definitely a hell of a lot of wrong ways, and I want to help you avoid those and be as educated on the right way as possible so you, too, can be successful in all your endeavors. So never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. Become part of our community over at Change Your POV Squad, or check out our Facebook group at Change Your POV. Just search for the word Change Your POV in Facebook and you will be brought right over to the page. Opt in and check out all of the latest and greatest that we've got going on. A lot of reshares of great content and other folks in our community and our network. It's a lot of fun. And that's all I got, man. Any last parting words?
Nothing today.
All right, man. Till next time.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.